Hi, how are you?
Hi. Christmas edition.
Christmas edition. It's Christmas. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. So we are really lucky to be podcasting this late in the game.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue it because it's so fun and we consistently have news to produce. So
Yeah.
how have these last 2 weeks been? You've had some time.
Been good. Yeah, it's been good. It's always great to do pad hand in when it's the last time you can ever do it. At the end, it's always tough if you're a week short or 2 weeks short or.
And other people are suiting up, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh man, I don't want to be turning these in right now. So, it's always great to do it when it's done. Always want to do it at the end of a win.
Definitely.
We didn't get that far, but yeah, it's been good 2 weeks. But I'm kind of cursed in a weird way. I'm already thinking of 2022. It's like. I think when I at my retirement banquet, whenever that is, if there is one.
Well, we'll throw you a big
I'm
one.
making an assumption here.
We'll throw you a big one, but it's not going to be for a long time.
Right, but
very young.
I think at that point maybe I'll be like, oh great, let's see, we did this then, and look back and just have some great memories about it. But right now it's like 2022 is upon us, which we're going to talk about. So I don't really have time for that right now.
Yeah, definitely. So the R&R was for 2 weeks, and I think that you mentioned earlier that you're already rolling right into Next Level, which starts on January 16th, which is your very successful flag football program. Why don't you briefly tell us about that? Because I know it's on many campuses, and every boy I know plays, but it'd be great to just kind of have a synopsis.
Sure. 12 years ago, myself and my co-founder Lance Smith were, our then kindergartners were doing flag football at a local area, and I basically said, hey, maybe we could do this better. It was just like that. And, now we have 60 sites all across the country. We're in colleges, we're in high schools, we're at just different areas. And really what it is it's flag football for kids, 5-on-5 flag until they get a little bit older, but mostly 5-on-5 flag where the coaches of each team are the high school and college kids.
So cool.
And that's kind of the concept that we had 12 years ago. And now it's, we're close to 20,000 kids playing this in 2022.
That's awesome. And so when you say the high school and college kids, I mean, you legitimately hire them.
Yes.
My son, my nephews, many of our friends have been employees of Next Level.
Yep.
And it's a great program. It teaches a lot of time management, diligence. Which
Yes.
a lot of times, I know my family role right now, Connor's job is to be a high school student and to play sports and get good grades.
Right.
So if he's an opportunity to get a job as well, those are things that they're teaching him some pretty good life management skills. So that's great. And you actually pay them and it's a legitimate business. So
Yes. Yeah, we actually do pay our taxes and everything. It's real fun.
I didn't mean that. I knew that.
So fun.
I just
know,
meant
it's
important to note that it's not a volunteer. It kind of has a dual purpose. It engages kids at a young age to the sport of football, and then also gives the high schoolers and college students time to make some money and to also do what they love to do, right?
Yeah, there's one of the things that I talk about a lot at Serra is personal accountability. And it's one thing to let yourself down in the weight room or you're letting your grades down. We don't want any of that stuff either. But it's hard to let down a group of, 8-year-olds.
Absolutely.
And when you don't show up to work, you're letting down a group of 8-year-olds.
That are waiting all week for this.
Yeah, they're dreaming about it. They're sleeping in their uniforms like, oh my God. And then, a student head coach mentor doesn't show up. That is like, if anything, because look, kids will be kids, but if you commit to a job, like, hey, welcome to the real world. You have to show up.
Absolutely.
And so it's just for us as head coaches and, the other site directors all over the country that they love that opportunity to teach personal accountability in a different way, not just you got to be on time and show up in the weight room and all the things we normally do.
Right. It's great. Yeah. It's a wonderful program. And it does consist of, do all of the sites offer the same, is it the same program, which is like the hour practice, the hour game?
Yeah. So we like to, what we call use the In-N-Out model. So no matter where you are at In-N-Out Burger, it looks the same. The little red umbrellas are tilted in the same direction. You walk in, the bathroom's on the right, the check stand's right here. I know where the Coke machines are. I know where you're supposed to eat. I know that it's the best. In-N-Out Burger is, I don't know if you like the food or whatever.
They do have a secret menu though, that they don't, like all the animal style stuff. So they've got a little secret system too.
Which makes it exciting every time you go to In-N-Out. Like, what secret am I going to get this time? But we try to do, our goal is to be In-N-Out. No matter what Next Level site you stand on, it should look the exact same. Just different humans. So.
Well, it's a really great program. I've heard several people say, and I love it because we all have our kids in so many sports, especially around here, or pretty much anywhere, right? Because youth sports are amazing.
Yeah.
But it is and I've heard two people say this quote is the best check I write because it's a really well-run program. So hats off
thank
to you. And when my son gets that box with the uniform in it, I mean, it's so organized, and he's quite excited. So
let's go.
And I'll just say for the record that my kid plays on your kid's team again, so that's pretty awesome.
That's right.
Too,
they call that. Family. We're not stacking that team, are we? We didn't win it last year, so they got to get.
They got to stay tuned for that podcast on the on the littles and the flag football. What's their team name? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
They're gray,
right?
Or blue. They're blue. They're
blue?
Gators.
Gators. Okay, they're the Gators.
Anyway, well, thank you for just giving us a preview. I think that it's important for people to know that is, and it's on the high school campuses. It's at Serra, it's at Hillsdale, it's at San Mateo. There's a lot of local sites, and that's on Sundays. So.
Yep.
So so you got your work cut out for you with the littles and the bigs.
That's right. That's right.
So moving back to the bigs. First of all, Merry Christmas Eve, as I said.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. Let's talk though. In the last week, Rosie and I were able to watch you change the dash in the locker room, or not the locker room, the weight room.
Yep.
And tell me why you did that and what your special announcement is.
Yeah. So I immediately following the Modern Day game, it was like, oh yeah, that's great. And okay, now what's next? And it's again, I think it's a curse or whatever, but I just
call it leadership.
Yeah,
you're always looking for the next thing. That's good. It's a good leader.
But there's something you can't teach that. It's just internal. Like I'm like, so all of a sudden I'm starting to stress about 2022, and there's a few there's three reasons. Yeah, there's 3 reasons why the stress is even higher, which is good. I mean, this is what we want, but just the concept of setting the clock over. The clock is ticking on the 2022 Padres, even though it's still 2021. I know De La Salle's been lifting for 3 weeks. They're not happy, right? That's what they do. So, we reset the clock. It's 2022. It's time to get rolling. Time to, reorder the uniforms. I got to get everything reconditioned. I got to rehire the staff. Staff always comes and there's a lot of things to do in the midst of doing Next Level and all the other fun things we're doing. But it's siempre adelante, as Father Junipero Serra said. It's always forward. And I think it's the clock is always just a good message to me that you either have to live in the present or start planning for the future, and the past is gone. So I know that a lot of us live with regrets, and a lot of us have things that we wish we could change, but those are all just lessons in a clock that's continually and always moving forward. It's the one thing that I think is the concept of the minute we're born, the contract is running out.
Right, clock starts.
And it's like, we don't know where that clock's going to end, but, for me, it's always present. Like, I could die right now. I could die tomorrow. And I don't live in fear. And my point is, it's more like, let's just live for everything we can right now. So as it relates to 2022, the first thing I did was we got to get our preseason schedule rolling. Got to figure it out right away. And it's funny, we could not find games for like 2 or 3 years. It's really, really hard to find games. And all of a sudden, people are lining up to play us now.
I'll bet.
It's like, wow, I can't believe he called us, and he called us, and he called us. But so is it time to talk about this?
Great reveal, yeah.
Okay.
Grand reveal.
Yeah, so, and I can talk strategy behind this if there is any, but we are going to open up at Folsom. Folsom's a Next Level site, and the Doherty family is real close to us, and Coach Peterson over there is a wonderful guy. Great man, leading a great program.
And they were down in Mission Viejo as well.
Yeah, they were down. They played in the 1AA championship game.
Right, so one below this
one
open
below
division
the open.
state, right?
That's right. So yeah, and they had a good game, I think, against.
Important to note.
Against Cathedral Catholic. But yeah, they were down there. Great program, historically great state program, Northern California, top 5 program, year over year, just great talent, great coaching. So, and I have a personal relationship with those guys, so that's we're going to open up at Folsom, which is going to be very tough.
Right, that's going to be very tough.
Right, and then we're going to De La Salle. So we're going at Folsom, at De La Salle the first 2 games. So
so what's our spread like in terms of dates? Do we know? Do we have a week in between? Do we have 2 weeks?
Yeah, they're both Friday night games.
Wow.
So Friday night at Folsom, I think on the 26th. I think August 26th, and then
that sounds about right. The second I think is the next one.
26th, second, yeah. So it's
a tough lineup.
Those are the 2 toughest games you can schedule in Northern California. I mean, there's other great programs as well, but it's arguably the 2 hardest teams you can play outside of our own league, which is a problem. But so we're gonna hit that ringer early, hence the stress. And it's like, okay, now what?
Well, I have a cousin whose kid Parker Clayton is his name. He played at Folsom, and now he's at Sac State doing very well.
Oh, cool.
As a receiver. But I remember, not knowing high school football as well as I do now, just because it was a couple years ago that he played. He's still playing. I think he's a senior now. But, I mean, that program was amazing back then. I mean, like I said, I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have to this program because it's equally as amazing. But it was it's a pretty cool program.
They do. They got the blue turf, and Folsom football is a big deal. So that's going to be hopefully keeping our eyes open when we're working.
Definitely. And then you said De La Salle then on the second, and what's the third?
So then our first home game is going to be against Central Catholic,
which is who played Folsom in the AA.
No, they played.
Oh no, that's Cathedral Catholic. See, I keep confusing.
Yes, yeah, no.
That's
Cathedral Catholic played against Folsom, and then Central Catholic did play. They were in our hotel, so they're another state representative. So it's a really, really awesome, difficult, challenging, and a preseason schedule that I think is matches who we are as a program. But it's going to be really, really hard. The way I think about it, particularly now in December, we could be 0-3. We could be 1-2. We could be 2-1. 3-0 is like, are you kidding me? Like, so if we're 3-0 after that stretch right there, we are the number one team in California.
That's incredible.
I'm sorry, Northern California. And that's what St. Francis showed this year. Like, if you want to be number one, you got to beat De La Salle. It's the bottom line. And so I've gone back and forth with playing De La Salle. Obviously, I'm a Spartan, graduated from De La Salle. I love being a fan of De La Salle. When we're not playing them, I can be 100% fan of De La Salle. I'm all in, wear my green shirt, go to the golf tournament. I'm all Spartan all the way. And then when they're on the schedule, there's like, oh, man, I don't want failure from Coach Allenbaugh. He's one of my dearest friends on the planet.
Right.
But, like, it's like, oh, man, they got that transfer, or that went well for them. Like, it's going to be bad for us. Like, so there's a yin and yang I've always had there.
I'll bet. And
we played them for, I think, 6 or 7 times. We have not beat them. We've had some very, very good games. We've had some games that were not so good. But, I think it's time for us to do that again and play them again. Coach Allenbaugh said, this is a long shot, but it might be one of the ESPN games.
Wow.
We know where ESPN comes out and they put it on national TV. It's a possibility.
Would be amazing.
So that would be cool, but we don't need ESPN to tell us that this is going to be a huge game in Concord and against a team who's returning all 5 offensive linemen, against a team who's not very happy, not going to the state game for the first time in a while. Yeah, I just know how things go over there, and we better elevate and up our game and always strive to get better if we want to compete against a preseason schedule like that.
Right. Well, and coming off the modern day game, we played on a new stage now, so the hunger the hunger for us from these teams is going to be a little bit more increased. How does this lineup get determined? Like, do you just pick up the phone and agree?
It's just a relationship game. Good. Justin Ferdinand, our AD, is involved, and kind of trying to help us find games. But really, we talk about it as a staff strategically, what makes sense for us. And also getting games. It's like I said, none of these are CCS games. Mm-hmm. These are games we're traveling or we'll travel to. And, so sometimes it's just take whatever money's on the table, get your schedule done. We'll have this for 2 years. So we're at Folsom, at De La Salle, home against Central Catholic. And then in 2 years, Folsom will be here, De La Salle will be here, and we'll go to Central Catholic.
Oh, really cool. Okay, so there's a little reciprocity there.
Yeah.
Cool. And so, we've talked a lot about, during the season, you talked about how you don't do like these large scrimmages with your own team. So can you talk to us a little bit about how these are so beneficial to getting in that game day mentality for your boys?
Absolutely. Yeah. The preseason, there's different philosophies about it. But the preseason should put you, the preseason in my mind's only goal is to prepare you for the league. Because if you're number one in the league, then you're probably high in the section. If you're high in the section, you have a chance to play in a regional game, if you run a regional game, or do the open thing, then you're playing for a state championship. And I think the preseason schedule should always put the emphasis on learning and what we can do. We want to win those games.
Absolutely.
And if we do, we're going to learn. If we don't, we're going to learn. And in that, what are we going to learn? What are these 3 games going to help us to help us in our 7 league games? which are always the meat of the season.
WCAL, right? That's we saw that. That was incredible.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is obviously extremely stiff competition, and we just were up against extremely stiff competition a couple weeks back.
Right.
Will you, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway, will you change your off-season protocols or any of your, team preparation in terms of, athleticism, but also sportsmanship? I mean, anything.
Yeah, I think we will. This is the hardest preseason schedule that we have ever put together here, which needs to be matched by our off-season preparation for it. Okay, so we are going to up the ante in our off-season preparation when it comes to attendance, measuring the kids, and their height, weight, strength, like just being more analytical about what's actually happening day to day and week to week. And Coach Wilbur, Coach Carson, Coach Sauer, strength coaches are going to, that's the thing. Like there's going to be no holes this year. And we've gone through a tough time here with 20 and 21 and how people are added to rosters. And I've been pretty lenient on that when it comes to, God, these people, we're going through so much. Like the last thing I'm going to do is say, no football for you.
There's a lot of mental health stuff you had to at that point, I think.
Yeah, and I look, high school football serves a deeper purpose than just playing for championships and all those things. So I'm always going to hold that true. With that said, there's a great place for us. This football is a great place that teaches reality of life. Like these people are not going to hand us anything. Are you kidding me? As a matter of fact, they're going to take everything from you, your pride, your honor, everything. They want to take it from us. And they will if we allow them to. Or we can prep and do everything we can in the off season, which is going to start on January 6th for people who aren't doing multiple sports. Guys that do multiple sports, like Gil Martin's on the hoop team and Gasrock, they're playing hoops. Great. I can't wait for the hoop game tonight, I think. Yes, tonight.
It is tonight.
I cannot wait for I love watching Serra hoops, the greatest thing ever. And I even love it more when there's football guys out there that I know and they're out there banging for boards and doing whatever. But so we always work with the off-season coaches. If a guy's playing something else and they play something else, it's what 80% of our team does something else. But for those that don't, we're probably going to bring the Dawn Patrol back. I don't know if any of the old school Padres, this is pre-babies. My babies or my wife's, whatever. We would do Dawn Patrol. We would get in the weight room. We'd start at 6:00. We're done by 7:45. In the classroom by 8:15. And
that's awesome.
There's something to be said about lifting when it's dark, and there's something to be said about what happens to the human condition when the alarm goes off at 5 in the 5s, 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:30, whatever, and you have to be at a place by 6. These sort of things is like we're going to bring back to the Padre fold. Because I'm anxious, very anxious, and I think this group of kids is gonna meet that challenge with some vigor. I've
heard a lot of the boys, I know mine included. I mean, they're running track. They didn't run track last year. They're running track last year was a different year, but even the year before, on the basis of learning how to run better for football. I mean, I know they love track too, but I mean, it's such. I mean, the way that they meld together. I mean, you can increase your speed and learn how to run. A little bit better.
And look, getting up early in the morning, lifting and doing all that stuff is great, but nothing beats competition. So when someone says, "Hey, coach, I'm thinking about doing this," I'm like, "Yes, do it." I'm thinking about throwing the shot put. Yes, do it. Because nothing ever is going to repeat or substitute wearing a Serra uniform competing against someone wearing a non-Serra uniform. I don't care what it is. Right. If it's in robotics or whatever, I don't care. Get out there and compete. So we've always pushed that, and I've said this on the podcast before. Our coaches work so well together to make sure that these kids get what they want, and if they want to do more co-curriculars after school, do it. Meanwhile, the weight room's there, and things are going to be moving in it, and the clock is ticking.
Absolutely.
So it's always measuring.
Football season's upon us. So one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I know we had senior day. How many seniors did we have, Rosie? Did we have, was it 22? No, it was 30 almost with the Meerkats.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of seniors. So I just wanted to remind our audience, because many don't know what year, especially some of the younger. We had a very strong sophomore class. Many don't know we don't have to go through obviously who graduated, but who are some of our rising stars or maybe defensive players we'll see playing more offensively. I mean, there's a lot of strategy with movement, right?
Sure. That's the fun part. And I've been here for 21 years, going into my 22nd season, and that's the fun part. It's not it's not the same team over and over and over and over again. And that's what keeps, I think, coaches coaching at the same spot for a long time is, whereas, the buildings aren't changing, but the personnel is always changing. The staff is changing, administration's changed, kids change, managers change. We got new Meerkats, stressed out about that. We're going to have to get them going. But yeah, there's a lot of things to do. And with those humans always changing, it always keeps things interesting. At least it has for me. And then being able to play those 3 games and those 10 games on our schedule, it's a great thing to be a high school football coach. Because right now it's Christmas. I'm not worried about a bowl game. I'm not recruiting on a campus as it relates to the college game. So it's nice to stress out, but also high school coaches can also have a life. That isn't all football all the time like college or NFL coaches. Now, I will say I do miss that. I do miss when I visited Tosh Lupoy at the Cleveland Browns. When he was at the Cleveland Browns, he's now at the Jaguars, and he's the D-line coach there. And I spent a week in the Browns office.
Oh, cool.
And it was so cool. It was so cool just to sit in an NFL office, and every single person that walked through that door for the Cleveland Browns, their only mission in life was to win.
That's pretty cool.
You have to win a game. And everything's that way. I just thought it was the coolest thing. The marketing guy walks in, the GM walks in, the D-line coach walks in, the guy that preps the food walks in. Everyone's like, we got to win.
I love that.
And I just loved it. It was just all football every minute, all the time. It was amazing. And I do miss that. I mean, I think that'd be really cool, but there's a cost to that, right? There's a lot of travel. There's a lot of costs and benefits. One of the players asked me, how many times have you been, approached to coach college or NFL? I'm like, not very many, to be honest with you.
It makes me worried. I don't want to lose you.
No, you're not. No, you don't. I'm not saying that to worry it, but it's.
No, I know, but I mean, I always think about that. We've talked about that too. We're like, oh, now people are going to come after him.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I've made it clear because those guys have known for 20 years too now, because they recruit Serra and they know, they're like, dude, you got a great job, you got a great gig, and you get to be a human, and you don't have to be me. And I remember one coach told me, he looked me dead in the eye. He's now an NFL coach, so I'm not gonna say who it is. But he told me, he looked me dead in the eye when I was younger, like 2003, 2004, and he looked me dead in the eye, and he goes, do not leave high school. Do not be me. You do not want to be me. And I'm like, wow, coach, you got everything. Now he's an NFL coach.
Right. That's like the top of the heap, right?
Yeah. He's an NFL coach, like high on the food chain NFL coach. And he goes, you don't want to be me. I'm like, I thought that was very, very interesting. And it's something, everyone goes through, but so on one hand, I miss that Cleveland Browns experience, like top of the food chain, that I think that would be a really cool thing from a learning perspective, but there's just such a huge lifestyle difference when it comes to college and NFL coaching.
Well, look at, honestly, that's good. That's what's beautiful about podcasting. You can just get on it. But whatever. I was bringing it back to all the things that you've been able to do while bringing your team to state. And we talked about this on the last podcast or the time before. I mean, just the let them play, all that stuff. I keep bringing it up because we wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. So if you were, in the top of the heap of the NFL, then we would maybe still be shuttered indoors and, dealing with, our kids in the corner with their phones to their faces. So, so it's good. And then next level too. So it's spawned a bunch of other very positive things. So
Right. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
And so just getting back to some of just reminding our audience about the players, so we know, obviously Jabari Mann, Jojo Bay, they're sophomores. We've got
Danny's a sophomore.
Green, Danny, Colin.
Yep, Colin.
Girardi.
Timo played a bunch at nose guard. Right. Girardi was our center.
Timo, how can I forget him?
Timo, he's a goofball.
Schumacher.
Love him. Yep, Lucas. Yeah, so we have a very talented breadth of sophomores coming back. But in any given year, in every given year, the most important group is the seniors. So I already have a little thread going with some of the seniors that I know played a lot. Like, what do you guys want to do? Like, we good? We done? Cash out? Walk away? By the way, that's a blackjack move. You got to show the cameras. So, which hopefully I play some blackjack here in Reno pretty soon. Anyway, so it's changing over every year, but it always starts with the seniors. It starts and ends with the seniors. It did this year too.
Right.
Yeah. When we're going through some tough times, it's like, what do you guys want to do?
It's amazing Dom, seniors.
It's your time. Back in 2019, it was Nate and Nusi and Dalen and all those and your nephew and just amazing human beings that did it. So now, are we going to create another group of amazing human beings that are going to lead this thing. And this junior class isn't as big as the last one we lost.
Right.
So they're going to have to really bootstrap this whole thing and be great leaders for the young guys. So that's the beauty of putting together a team year over year. So I'm excited about it.
Definitely. And name some of the seniors. So we've got, or new upcoming seniors. So juniors now.
So Seamus Gilmartin. Ryan Silver played a lot.
Yep. Goligoski.
Yep. Oligarchy played a ton. So he's back. McGovern played a bunch of wide receiver. Dylan
He did
Judier.
great. And of course, Judier and Weber.
Yep.
Weber was playing a lot. Yep.
With some returns there. Joey Villaroman. Hopefully, God willing, he got it through his crutches away, and he's running around.
He's a force. Yeah.
So
that'd be great.
It's really sad for Joey. So we're praying for just strength and all that stuff, so he can have a brilliant senior year. Because I think he's one of the best receivers in Northern California, in a long line of great Padre receivers with his brother Shane. So there's these are the guys that we're going to be leaning on. Gastrock played a lot.
That's right.
So there's that kind of good.
There are many that will come up too. I mean, that's the way that it works. Sutton was in a lot too. I mean, that's what you see. I mean, I remember at the very first meeting we had, the varsity parents meeting, you talked about how Seamus Gilmartin had jumped and bulked up 25 pounds or something over the summer. I mean, their bodies change, their mentality changes, their athleticism changes from junior to senior year. So it'll be fun to see.
We call that West recording, and we actually have it's the most improved award.
Oh, nice!
It's called the West Record, and it's after Eric Westerman and this guy named Aaron Court. So we put it together, West Record. There's these two juniors that really didn't do much their junior year at all. Kind of aloof, and I always joke that we have an award after them, so they can anything I say to them, they're going to have to deal with it. But
exactly, be honored.
The concept is, in theory, terrible junior year, amazing senior year, like all WCL senior year.
That's so.
And so it's like the most improved player award here at Serra. We call it the West Record Award. It's on the trophy and everything.
That's awesome.
And Eric Westerman, it was one of these guys that like you couldn't get him out of the weight room. And you're like, there's no way this guy can do anything. It led the league in sacks.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he was first team all WCAL.
What year
was just a force. I don't remember. God, I don't remember. Probably 2010, 11, type 12, something like that. I don't know.
Because you do say the same thing about Bakhtiari, too, that, all of a sudden, he's...
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't need to even mention who he is because everybody knows him because he's famous.
Yeah, we should talk more about him. I love Bakhtiari. He's the best. So, he didn't play at all his junior year. Yeah, we should have called it the Bakhtiari Award. Thanks. Now you're going to get David.
Well, I was wondering. I was like, that's why I was like, what year was that?
Yeah. So David did the same thing and came out his senior year and was like, whoa. I mean, we knew that the material was there, but
he had brothers and some pretty good experience.
Yeah, and just the athleticism and the height and everything and his mentality. It was like, God, if we could put that together, who knows? And then he just came out as senior. It was just a terror.
Amazing.
So
that's exciting. Great. And then I should also mention there are a bunch of people that we haven't mentioned that are fantastic players. It's just I'm going top of mind here. But we do have some really great potential call-ups as well.
Oh, yeah,
that
for
we
sure.
saw that were just out there practicing for the state championships as well.
Yeah,
so
we did. And then it's funny. I think this is the first time this has ever happened. But our freshman won the WCL championship. Our JV won the WCL championship, which I think is a miracle.
It says a lot.
Well, look, when I know what it feels like to lose like a player like Hassan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Or a couple players or whatever. I mean, realistically, coaching JV football might be the hardest thing to do on the planet because, we had 15 sophomores up on the varsity. So that's like 15 Hassans, let's say, like gone. And they still won the WCL championship. And I think that's, I've been coaching with Bob Vignal he's been coaching at Serra longer than I have.
He's a great coach.
He's a great coach. And one thing I'll say about JV football and with Coach Vignal and Coach Carter has been there, Coach Earnshaw, the Language brothers have all, been a part of this thing. But, Bob, Vignal, and Perry, for the most part, have been the constant there. And in 21 years of football coaching here, I've had zero emails, from a JV disgruntled parent. Zero.
That says a lot.
That says everything. So
I think the buy-in for JV though as a parent is huge. Like JV's so fun. Like freshman year, have so many, many you don't know if your kid's going to play, and if he screws it up, you just don't get it yet. But JV is like when you really see it. Maybe it's because it is typically a leaner team, right?
It's definitely a leaner team. your best players are probably not on the JV team,
Right.
Because they're on the varsity team, and that's most programs in California.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, just for what Bob and Matt Earnshaw and those guys did this year, Marty Dialbo's the Serra Padre, these guys just did such a good job. And then we actually didn't win the WCL championship, but we went on and did some other things. So collectively speaking, the 2021 season was a banner year.
100%.
If I can borrow a
CCS
stupid
championship.
cliche. Yeah.
I mean, champions, and also getting to that open division. And again, not to bring up the Lancers again, but I mean, that loss was horrible on November 6th, right?
Yeah.
And we came back to win, which propelled us to a different place. So, hopefully our modern day loss will just propel us to a better place for this preseason, because it's fierce.
Yeah. And I know a lot of the young guys were disappointed, and that was good to see. I mean, a lot of tears after the game, and it's like the "we got there" thing was something I was worried about. Like, it wasn't "we got there." It's let's get there and let's do something.
Right.
And while I think we left a lot of money on the table and things we could have done better and more, I think that could be used in the off season to help us understand that that's humility. Like, no matter what, there's somebody out there, working to be better than you, and there's a team out there working harder to be better than you. And we have experiences now that prove that.
Right.
And it's like when the sun goes up over here, the sun's going down somewhere else, and vice versa. And when that sun comes up somewhere else, someone's working. It's a big planet.
It is.
So we can't get caught in our own little myopic West 20th Avenue world. It's a big world out there, and we're going to try to take it on in 2022.
Awesome.
And that's kind of the message, I think, when it comes to the preseason. Like, look, hey, great, Serra's a good program, but there's many levels we can jump. And the fun is attempting to do it.
Well, and I think like you said, I mean, just recognizing that you're going to, improve some of the off-season work. I mean, that right there is just improving the program, and everything just is improving. So that's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I am so excited for all that this has to offer, both the off-season and also as we gear up for a really fun preseason, and hopefully, accomplished. But I thank you for your time. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And I'm really looking forward to the next time we get together and talk, because there's a lot to discuss.
There is. It's been a great year. 21's a year to remember on so many levels. But I really appreciate you, Amy, and Rosie. You guys have been a great team here. And I think it's good to sit down. I've enjoyed these opportunities. I never watch them, so if anyone has feedback, can just tell me or email me.
DM us. Don't put it in the public section.
Exactly. Like, oh, it's terrible. But that's fine too. I mean, I don't really do that stuff. I think it's easy for people to hide behind a computer and share their deepest feelings. It's like, if you got a deep feeling, come tell me to my face. Or
we'll just throw it on this mic.
We'll do it here, or just talk. Technology is so great, but it's also the worst thing that's ever happened to us, because there's nothing can replace being human. And I think this year, 21, has really, it's just been such an interesting year when it comes to being human. And I'm very hopeful that, people have a wonderful Christmas with their loved ones, and they get that sense of hope again in 2022. Again, we're still going through some tough times, and we're going to get through it, but we're going to do it together with love in our hearts. And that's how life is supposed to be, in my opinion. So,
100%. Well,
Merry Christmas.
I want to say Merry Christmas, and I just want to remind our fans, Folsom and De La Salle, we saw our fans go out to Mater Dei in mass. So we need you in mass at those games as well. So
that's right.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas. Go Padres.
Go Padres. Thank you.
Thank you.